went and did a scope and figured out I had ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. It all falls under the same umbrella. So yeah. And from that point on, they put me on all the medication. We've all heard the stories before. They put me on steroids and biologics and immunosuppressants, and they were pretty much just shooting fish in a barrel. It was just a lucky dip. They tell you to eat certain things, but they are the wrong things you should be eating. I was told to eat chicken and, like lean meats and eggs. It's really funny because they told me not to eat fruit. I was told to just eat white meat and cooked rice and make sure to cook everything until it's really soft, which helps and it gives relief, but it's just relief. It doesn't make it go away. I was super skeptical. Yeah. I was just like, this disease is just like, it's so painful, and I thought it was so complex that the answer can't be just to eat fruit and vegetables. And I also thought being obviously a bloke who's young and hangs out with lots of other blokes, I'm like, vegan? What? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. I want to eat meat. I love meat.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where it was so bad, and I was missing a lot of school too. It got to I was pretty desperate. And after watching a lot of the videos and reading a lot of the things online about what you guys actually do, it started to make a lot of sense. And starting the diet and actually seeing myself change, it kind of just solidified everything that I learned. Obviously, I made mistakes, but I just kept on pushing. And I'm so glad that I went vegan. It is the best decision I've ever made.
That's amazing.
Hands down. I don't think I could ever give up fruit, ever. Fruit's amazing. Having the smoothie in the morning and then getting the rewards from there's no other food on the planet that rewards you quite like fruit and vegetables.
100%.
Because when you eat deep fried food and all that, yeah, it tastes really good and you feel good while you're eating it. 10 minutes later, you're on the couch and you're in a food coma. It's horrible.
Exactly.
You have a big 2-liter smoothie in the morning. You drink it slowly. That's probably all you need until that night.
Yeah, that's it.
It is that good. And if you're like me and if you're like us and you had this terrible disease, having that smoothie creates the best bowel movement at the end of the day. It's embarrassing it's embarrassing to talk about, but that's literally why I do it, and that's literally why everyone who does it,
Yeah, well, if you know, right? If you know, and I think that's the key there. Is that unfortunately, people don't realize what a good bowel movement actually is.
It's not just eating the food. You put the food in your mouth. That's pretty much where it is, and the body just takes care of the rest. You gotta believe in yourself. You can't just be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard to get over. I was very poor me, and this is all terrible. But having those calls every week really just kept me going.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, because I would have given up if it wasn't for you, the Shamiz. I wouldn't be here if we didn't call every week or twice a week. I'd still be sitting on the toilet and cursing my bowel. So I just want to say thank you, because that was probably what kept me going. That was a really hard concept for me to understand, because I always just thought, diseases just come from out of the blue. It's just lucky dip. This is me. I'm just a victim of this terrible disease, when in reality I did the damage myself. And accepting that was a hard thing really hard thing to accept, because I didn't want to be at fault for my own. This is my fault. What I thought.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Accepting it though really freed me, because all right, well, I'm the only one who can fix it now. This is my responsibility. It's not Shamiz's responsibility or mum and dad's responsibility. This is me. I have to do this. Remember you telling me that it was normal what I was going through, and that really resonated with me, because I'm like, I was always like, no, this isn't right. I'm going to pulling out blood. This isn't good. You told me like, oh, this is your body's way of healing. Your body's getting all the stuff out. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That was the first thought I've had. And then I was like, oh, actually, everything is getting just a little bit better every week, just a tiny bit. I'm like, you know, he might actually be right. He might be onto something here. So yeah, it's ulcerative colitis in a way is normal. It's your body's response to you not looking after yourself.
Exactly.
Like, there's other causes for it too, but it's normal, right? Your body will get upset if you don't treat it properly.
Why did you not want to be on medications for the rest of your life?
Oh, the acne and the joint pain and the back pain I was experiencing from the steroids was so bad. And if you read the side effects of the medications they give you for Crohn's, for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, one of them is actually death. And I remember reading that. And also, if you read the apart from prednisolone, where it was actually a bit of a miracle drug, I'd take it and I'd feel completely fine. It weakens your bones so much, but it's the only one that really works. If you look at the biologics, most of them have like a 30 to 50% success rate. That's not a lot at all. Whereas fruit and vegetables have a 100% success rate if you stick to it. Going in when you're young and having an infusion every week, and you're sitting there with cancer patients pretty much, that's a really traumatic thing, because you're grouped in with the really sick people when you're not really that sick. You are sick and it's pretty bad, but you're not going to die.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll be fine. You'll live. I remember one time we came back from an infusion and I was sitting in the car with Mum. I remember almost blacking out because I was just it just wasn't agreeing with me. And I remember not being able to go to school for the next couple of days and stuff like that. And it really affected me badly. Get your bowel taken out.
Yeah.
That's it. That was my luck. And then even after that, they said if you get your bowel taken out, you can still have ulcerative colitis with your pouch. And I'm just like, far out. It's just not looking good for me at all. So yeah, it's a pretty helpless situation to be in, and it's actually terrifying, because you think that you're never going to be the same again. And you think that there's just one set path, that's it.
Hey guys, yeah, awesome. I am so looking forward to sharing this journey and sharing this new life that Jack has been able to get for himself. And it's a really inspiring story. Jack, is only 18, and he's grown so much over the last year. And it's just been amazing to be with you, to see you grow. And when I was 18 years old, I was not thinking the same things as you are, and I'm so proud of you, dude. And like, my heart goes out to you and your family because of how hard you've worked to get to where you are now. And I guess we'll talk about this at some stage, but let's start off with your diagnosis. Like, what were you diagnosed with? I guess just introduce yourself in a couple of sentences, and talk to us about your condition as well. So just start off with diagnosis.
Well, thanks for having me on here. It's been a bit of a dream. I've been watching these testimonials since I started this program.
Yeah,
I've always dreamed of doing one. So yeah. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with celiac disease, which is genetic. My grandmother has it. My mum carries a gene. I just pulled the shortest straw and got it, which is fine. Yeah. It just means you can't eat gluten. Yeah, being a teenage boy you're growing up around all these other teenage boys and they're eating party pies and sausage rolls and donuts and all that and bread. And I was like, oh, I want to get in on some of that. So started eating stuff that I shouldn't have and started having problems. I was going to the toilet a lot more. I started noticing lots of blood in my stool. And this is probably around when I was 15. And I was really stupid and I just didn't tell anyone. I thought it would sort itself out. Fast forward a little bit. It's my 16th birthday. I haven't been at school for a couple months because I've just been struggling with my guts. Get to December, we go away to Tasmania for a month. And in Tasmania, I got this disease called Campylobacter. We thought it was Campylobacter. And I was pretty much pooing out pure blood. And I was pretty much just painting the bowl red, and it wasn't fun. And I didn't tell anyone until the end of the trip. I'm like, we go to my mum and I'm like, Mum, I'm not feeling too good. Like there's blood in my poo and I don't really know what's happening. And we get back to Melbourne, we go and do a couple of scans. It was really strange because sometimes I'd have really good bowel movements and then like the rest of the day it'd be completely like horrible and so painful. So we get back to Melbourne, they take a couple biopsies. They were scared at first they thought it was Crohn's disease. They get the labs back and they figure out it's Campylobacter. Like, oh yeah, take 3 horse pills, you're fine. I was not fine. I was still going to the toilet about 10 times a day and I still had blood in my poos, and went and did a scope and figured out I had ulcerative colitis, Crohn's ulcerative colitis. It all falls under the same umbrella. So yeah. And from that point on, they put me on all the medication. We've all heard the stories before. They put me on steroids and biologics and immunosuppressants, and they were pretty much just shooting fish in a barrel. It was just a lucky dip. They did put me on these chocolate drinks for a while at the end of 2022, and that got me fixed up for a month, probably a month and a half, and I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
And then I had a big night on the drinks.
Yeah.
And then I was bedridden for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then after that, and around last year in June or July, my dad actually discovered you guys. And he said, Jack, these people have had like really amazing results. And I was like, going vegan, bit weird, you know. Then one day we're in the car and Dad was just talking to me like, look, you're going to get off your meds soon. Well, I thought you're going to get off your meds soon. Like things might start going wrong. Sure enough, got off the steroids and just went back to square one. So I was like, all right, this is pretty much my last chance. I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
So I got on you guys and it hasn't been the same.
Yeah. So what I wanted to sort of ask you is like, obviously your diet at the time wasn't the best. I mean, you're probably doing standard Australian diet, right? Like your mum and dad will cook your dinner, meat and 3 veg and something like that, you know, maybe some pastas or things like that. But I don't think you paid attention to diet at all, right, in your life at all.
No nutrition.
Except for being gluten intolerant. Like you may have made certain choices, but other than that, like you were still eating lots of meat, dairy, and eggs. And
pretty much,
I guess
much all I was eating. Yeah.
Did the doctors actually say anything to you about changing your diet at all, or did they mention anything? I think spicy food may be something that they mentioned, but anything about like, oh, eat less of this or eat more of that to change your bowel?
It's really funny because they told me not to eat fruit because of FODMAPs, which is just that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's not real. FODMAPs is just made up.
But it's funny
They told me not.
It is in Monash, right? They do use it in Monash, and they do say that for temporary relief, right? To go onto these certain foods to sort of settle the bowel. And of course, it's not going to work long term, is it? And some people might get relief from it, but it's not something that you were looking for. And I guess people that do FODMAPs are restricted so heavily that, you know, it becomes like unsustainable and you can't actually do it for a very long time anyway. So it's funny because it was developed in Monash University in Melbourne, out of all places, the
Yep.
FODMAPs. So you were told to do that.
Yeah, I was told to do that. I was told to just eat white meat and cooked rice and make sure to cook everything until it's really soft, which helps and it gives relief, but it's just relief. It doesn't make it go away at
No,
all.
that's right. That's
So,
right.
and
It-
there's just lots of conflicting things too, because you know it sounds really strange, but doctors don't really know what causes ulcerative colitis.
yeah,
They don't really say it's food,
no,
and
that's right.
they tell you to eat certain things, but they are the wrong things you should be eating. I was told to eat chicken and like lean meats and eggs and to stay away from milk, which is correct, but yeah, and seeds, which is also correct.
Yeah.
But there's just lots of misinformation. Like those chocolate drinks they told me to go on, I found a packet of them under my bed, and
The
the
ingredients
ingredients
list.
list is so long that like I was just looking at it going, I drank that and I felt
Mm.
okay after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially with what you're doing now and thinking, I only want one or two ingredients in my food, and that means like whatever that ingredient is the food that I'm eating. It's like papaya or
Mhm.
banana or rice. Nothing, no preservatives, and I mean,
No,
yeah, no
no sugars.
processed stuff, right? No processed stuff, and wow. I mean, look, this is the same old, right? How many people before you have been told the same thing over and over again, and yet there are so many people that still follow the doctor's path. And
Yep.
it's if you want to change your situation, if you want to change your sickness, like you have to do something about it. You can't expect change to happen without making change yourself, right? And I think this is where you took it on board to do this very thing. So when you did find us online, like what did you think at first? And like how did you sort of, you know, tackle the idea of like I could actually get rid of this if I, by following what these guys are saying?
Well, I was super skeptical. I
Yeah.
was just like, this disease is just like it's so painful, and I thought it was so complex that like the answer can't be just to eat fruit and vegetables. And I also thought being obviously a bloke who's young and hangs out with lots of other blokes, I'm like vegan. What? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. I want to eat meat. I love meat.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where it was so bad, and I was missing a lot of school too.
Mm.
It got to I was pretty desperate. And after watching a lot of the videos and reading a lot of the things online about what you guys actually do, it started to make a lot of sense. And starting the diet and actually seeing myself change, it kind of just solidified everything that I learned. And I kept on just, obviously, I made mistakes, but I just kept on pushing. And I'm so glad that I found that I went vegan. It
Mm.
is the best decision I've ever made,
That's amazing.
hands down.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. And same for me, dude. And that was 12 years ago for me as well. And I'm like, I can't believe, that this information is not necessarily, well, it's not really available, to all of us. And it should be. I mean, we should be able to, learn about fruits and vegetables and what, how the body works and how the body heals. But unfortunately, yeah, it's there's not enough people talking about this, and that's why, sharing your story is so important because there might be people like yourself, other 18-year-olds, other people in high school that are suffering just the way you did and keeping it
Mm.
quiet, and even for myself, like when I started bleeding, I think I was around 22 years old. So it happened like a year before I got diagnosed as well. And I didn't actually say anything. Well, I thought it was hemorrhoids, to be honest. And I was just also the same as you, where I just kind of let it go because some of my stool was perfectly fine, but then some of my stool would have like blood. And I'm like, this is pretty odd, but it sort of came and went, it didn't really stick around until I was in Japan, and a year later, I, was not doing so well. Again, the food choices that I made in Japan were probably not the best either. Um, so I mean, you made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It's a very common thing to do because you have a specific palate, and when you have to change that palate, it can be very hard to go through those emotions and feelings and, addictions and temptations that we have and cravings. I guess what I would like you to do is just talk about that a little bit more, because I think that, when you were going through it, you made mistakes, but then you realized quickly why those mistakes were actually learning opportunities, or like opportunities for you to go, okay, like I still got work to do. My gut's still not there yet, and obviously until you finally realize that like this is the path that I need to take. But just talk to the audience. I guess talk to other people out there that, what was it that really put you on the path, or like kept you on the rails? Because, we do go off them, and we have to go off the rails to sort of find ourselves going in the right direction, I guess. Yeah.
Um, well, it was really hard,
Mm.
and I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. I found it really difficult to get started, mainly because like I just didn't know. Like obviously I had the guidance from you guys, but I just didn't know like what I was actually doing. Like I was all good with the smoothies and all that, but when it came to cooking, I was pretty hopeless. So I'd cook things that were easy, like rice noodles and stuff like that. And I just will you put it all into one wok, you cook it, and then it's done. It tasted really nice, but I suddenly started to realize that if I didn't cook everything until it was really soft, it didn't go down well.
Mm.
And that kind of the real I didn't want to do that.
Mm.
I didn't want to cook the boring food. I wanted to eat the exciting food
Yeah.
because that's what I've been eating my whole life, right? I didn't want to have mashed potatoes or anything like that. And yeah, it really set me back sometimes. Like I'd have this is really bad, Shamiz. I'm going to admit some things that you don't know about. There,
Okay.
my family has a snack drawer, and they'd have like corn chips in it, and it used to say vegan, gluten free. I'm like, oh, I'll just have a couple. Dude, don't ever do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Never do that. But the thing is, I kept on doing it, and I kept on making the mistakes. It wasn't until there was one particular day where I pretty much just ate fruit for the whole day because I couldn't be bothered cooking anything. And the next day I was like feeling like I had a formed stool that was still bloody and it was still really painful, but it was formed. And then it kind of clicked. I was like, oh, this is what I need to do. And it was really hard, especially because I'm quite young. Because I was quite young as well, and I'd never really looked after myself. Like I've always had someone else looking after me. That was a really hard thing to
Mm.
overcome. Like because no one was there doing it for me. I had to do it all on my own. And I had I had support from my parents and you guys, obviously, but I had to eat the food. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, all right, if I can really knuckle down and eat the mashed potatoes and eat the bananas and eat the broccoli just for like a couple, maybe just even a week, and see how it goes. Then I'll see if this is working. And sure enough,
Mm.
after a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks of eating mashed potatoes and fruit, I was actually feeling all right, and I was starting to enjoy it. And
Mhm.
I was slowly realizing that I'm feeling really good. I'm gonna go out for a walk. I haven't been for a walk in like 3 years. I'm gonna go out for a walk. And then, other things started happening. I was just like waking up heaps early. I'm like, I've got so much energy.
Mm.
I need to go burn it off somehow. And it kept on progressing just super slowly. And, we were talking about this when I was healing too.
Yeah.
It's like a graph. If you
Yeah.
zoom in on it, it's going to be all over the place. But if you zoom out,
Yeah.
it'll just be one continuous arc.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I kept on thinking. I had bad days where I was just in bed all day, but the good days were just it really gave me hope, and it really there were points where I would have given up. Like in America, when I went to America and I had that flare up, I was so close to just calling it there.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
this
right.
isn't working.
I remember that
But yeah,
trip. I remember that trip. And you actually were doing really well before you went there. You were like, all right, like I've got control of my bowels. Like I don't have any urgency. And you were actually doing really well. And then obviously when you go to that place, it's full of junk food and full of all sorts of things. And you may have indulged, obviously, when you went there, but that was another
100%.
realization for you. Yeah, that was another realization for you that like, you know, maybe this is not such a good idea because do I want to be sick or do I want to be healthy and be able to travel and be able to do things? Like I think, you know, just going back a little bit though, like for you to be at such a young age and realize what you've realized, I think is the most remarkable thing that you could have gone through. And I have so much respect for you, man, because of how young you are and how you took it on board to be like, no, I need this for myself. Like once you take the knowledge and you apply it, you then see the results. And once you see the results, you can't actually look back. You can't say that like, oh, this isn't working, whatever. You feel it. You know, you feel the changes, you feel the effect that these foods are having on your gut. And then when you do have these amazing bowel movements, it's like some of the best feelings ever. Like, I mean, you know, it's a pretty touchy subject for some people, but when you go to the toilet and you have a very clean and you know that your body has processed everything completely well, like that, I don't, it comes close to a no better feeling, you know, like,
I don't think there is a better feeling. I remember being so excited the day I had a solid bowel movement. I went downstairs and told my whole family. I was like, guys, I just went to the toilet and it was kind of normal.
yeah.
And I was so stoked. It was the best.
Started to see that change in your body. And once you started to see that change, I think it progressed. You know, it just you built that momentum and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna eat potatoes, I'm just gonna eat broccoli, I'm just gonna eat these foods. And obviously then, you know, we did start to expand a little bit more. And maybe there was some hiccups again because your body had to make those adjustments. Um,
Absolutely.
but sticking to a very consistent plan is what got you to this position. And it's that base and foundation that we're trying to create here. And it's not as if you're gonna stop eating the foods that you're eating that got you here. You know, you still do. And we must always remember that the foundation of the foods that we eat must continue to be eaten because why would you do anything different? If your body can go from negative to zero, right? Or negative to like someone in a good place, then that has a massive impact. And so when you actually are in a better position, how much more of an impact can it have? And I guess that's where we start to see I guess the performance that you feel, you know, if you're motorbiking, for example, like, you know, your focus is so much better, you know, because of the alertness. Like, you don't have any sort of lethargic feeling where you don't feel lazy, you know, like, and that's the biggest, you've got clean blood, you know, and
Yep.
that's the benefit of post healing, right? Post healing, that's the benefit you get because you still apply some of the principles. You're just adding different foods, right? It's all about addition when you get to that point. And I think you've done really well to get to that point. And I don't think you can give up your smoothie in the morning, hey?
I don't think I could ever give up fruit ever. Fruit's amazing. I eat it until about 5 o'clock at night, and then I eat something cooked, and that's it. It is the best food on the planet. I can't. I. It's so good.
It's
It is,
mango
and
season right now,
it's
isn't it?
dude. I've been getting on it. There's some big ones you can get. Loving them,
Yeah.
but yeah, like having the smoothie in the morning and then like getting the rewards from there's no other food on the planet that rewards you quite like fruit and vegetables.
100%.
Because when you eat deep fried food and all that, yeah, it tastes really good, and you feel good while you're eating it. 10 minutes later, you're on the couch and you're in a food coma. It's horrible.
Exactly.
You have a big 2 liter smoothie in the morning. You drink it slowly. That's probably all you need until that night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
it.
it is that good. And if you're like me and if you're like us and you had this terrible disease, having that smoothie creates the best bowel movement at the end of the day. Like, it's embarrassing it's embarrassing to talk about, but that's literally why I do it, and that's literally why everyone who does it,
Yeah, well,
does it.
if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's the key there, is that, like, unfortunately people don't realize what a good bowel movement actually is, because
Mm-hmm.
that, whatever people are going through, that's their normal. And so when you set yourself up by healing your gut and by getting rid of this disease, like, you actually realize what proper digestion is supposed to look like when you eat the right foods. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually, creating a harmonious environment in your gut by eating fruit and vegetables. You're not actually creating any disease or inflammation. Because these foods are all anti-inflammatory. They're all foods that are actually going to aid our system and give us the right fuel to function. To give our organs the right fuel to do what they need to, and optimize. And I think you've really found that for yourself, like the optimization for yourself, like just making sure that you do certain things at certain times, and the rewards, like you say, that you get the rewards from that. And there's absolutely no other food that can give you the same reward, physically and mentally, um, as fruit can. So I just think this is an amazing journey of yours, man. You've progressed so much since we first started. Um, you just came back from America as well, second time around, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah,
And
that
traveling,
was
the freedom to travel as well. Talk about
uh,
that.
it was the trip I needed. It was redemption. I've really bad travel anxiety just because of this disease. So getting on the plane, I was like, I was a bit like, like a cat. I was all skittish, and I was worried about people being in the toilet when I needed to go. Getting off the plane in America was so liberating. I was like, oh, I've made it, and I'm back, and now I can actually go out and enjoy the junk food, which I pretty much went and ate just vegan food the whole time,
Yeah.
and I really loved it. And it was almost like a dream come true, because I dreamed of going to America and having we went to LA, and last time I went to LA, I was looking at all these restaurants, and I had just a list. It was pretty much just a list of food I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
And I went back to those restaurants, and it was food that I could eat, and I felt fine after. And I was completely fine. I had pretty terrible anxiety that I was going to get sick again, but waking up every morning and, as we said before, having a nice poo was just everything that I needed to get through the day.
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna
So
check out
it
some
was,
photos. I think you had some pizza and pasta when you were there. I think you sent me some photos, and it looks delicious,
yeah,
and
it
completely,
was,
yeah, animal free, which is amazing, because there's some ethics behind there as well. I think that you
yeah.
appreciate too.
You
And
always got to find the restaurants that say they always got to make it in house.
yeah,
Otherwise, I don't go there
and your dad
unless
even
it's all
liked it, right? Your dad even liked that
oh,
food.
he tried to eat vegan the whole trip,
Yeah,
and he was saying to me, like, I'm losing heaps of weight, Jack. Like, this is really good.
yeah.
It was like, it's really hard. I'm really hungry. I'm getting used to it, but I'm losing weight. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. And you have to, it takes a long time to get used to it. But yeah.
And your dad is pretty much a hardcore carnivore meat eater, right? Like, he's not going to give
Oh
up his
yeah.
meat.
He's never, I don't think he'll ever give it up, but
But hey,
I'm trying.
he ate the vegan food and he was impressed, wasn't he? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think he was shocked that he wasn't like, oh, this is like not very tasty. You know,
he was actually impressed about how good it tasted.
absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
I don't think we're missing out. You know, a lot of people think that we're missing out. You know, we don't. And you know, because of your foundation that you built, you were able to eat these foods without any problems. And it is good to indulge every now and then because it really this journey is not only about, you know, being or eating certain foods. It's about mentally being free as well, like having that food freedom. And you
Yeah.
know, when you expose yourself to these foods, you actually are normalizing what's going on, you know, with your life. And when you start to, you know, understand that, okay, well, maybe I can do this every now and then and not have any problems, it gives you that freedom. And, you know, it's not that you're going to keep eating these foods because they are heavy, obviously, and they are not optimal. But because
They're not great. Yeah.
yeah, you put yourself in this position so that you can actually eat those foods and have no problems because your gut is in such a stable condition that it's not sick. You're not sick. So these foods aren't going to affect you, you know. Let's let's also talk about just quickly your amazing trips that you do on your motorcycle, on your dirt bike. I mean, there was a point where you also, you know, made a mistake and caked it. I don't
Yeah,
know,
big
talk
time.
about that and talk about how you recovered from that pretty well, and I guess what that's done to you on an emotional level as well. You know, how you see so much fun in doing what you're doing. You see it even more now because of, you know, how far you've come and the ability for you to do it while eating these foods and feel so good at the same time.
Well, motorbike riding is something that I can't live without, and ulcerative colitis really did take that away from me because motorbike riding is a strenuous thing. It's not, well, my kind of riding out in the bush. It's
Mm.
not just sitting on a motorbike and twisting it. It is a physical thing. So I couldn't do it for a long time, and then I started doing it more and more this year, and it became my main source of exercise because running and all that was really hard. It is really hard on your body. So on a motorbike, you know, you can really push it or you can just chill out, and that's what I really enjoy.
Mm.
Getting out into the bush with where I'm away from home and I'm away from anything that, like, you know, away from toilets and all that was difficult. But because I was what I'd do before a ride is I'd make sure I'd have everything prepared food wise.
Mm.
So I'd have dates, I'd have bananas in my pack before I'd have a big smoothie or maybe even two smoothies. I'd get up early and have two.
Mm.
Then getting out into it and actually starting to ride properly again was, I don't really know how to describe it because motorbike riding is almost like it just keeps me going. It keeps me ticking along, and not having it for almost 3 years. Getting back into anything after you've been sick for a long time is really hard because you're just depleted of any any whiff of fitness that you have is gone,
Mm.
right? And rebuilding that from when you've had like nothing for so long was for me, it was really difficult because I used to ride my mountain bike almost every day, and I was quite fit, and I was pretty good at it, and not having it for ages just really, made me decline
Mm.
in my fitness, and also, yeah, in my self-esteem because I wasn't as big as I was. But getting back into motorbike riding was liberating again because I hadn't done it for so long. And when I did do it, I was just in pain the whole time. So, yeah. And having a massive crash where I was actually lucky to walk away, it was actually really good because I wasn't going running to the toilet all the time.
Yeah.
And I recovered really quick because of the food I was eating. Like my body wasn't trying hard to get toxins out of me or anything. I was
Exactly.
eating how I was when I was sick, and within about 3 weeks, I was all good. I'd cracked ribs and everything, and the scars are almost gone
Yeah, that's
from
amazing.
just what I've been eating.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously couldn't ride for a month, which killed me. But
So it was a heavy
yeah,
fall. It
no,
was a really heavy fall. And yeah,
it
I guess
was
yeah, talk about
it
the
was one of
fall.
the scariest motorbike crashes I've had.
Yeah.
It was big. But I remember my dad coming around the corner and like wondering if I was like still moving because my bike was on one end of the track and then I was up the other end.
All right.
So he was wondering if I was still moving, and I don't really remember it because I'd a really bad concussion, but I do remember being really happy that I didn't have to go to the toilet while I was hobbling around.
That's it, man.
So
And
yeah,
that's because the trauma
yeah,
that I mean, obviously you've had when you did have the condition, like where it's like, what am I gonna do if I need a shit? If I need to poo my pants or something,
uh,
And so, but the thing is, you rode home that day too, didn't you?
yeah.
Didn't you?
I did ride the bike out. Yep, I rode it out.
So yeah,
It was about 50 k's back to the car,
yeah, yeah.
and
So you still
yeah,
have
it
that courage and toughness in you that you probably had from back in the day. But yeah, it's just amazing how, you know, the body recovers not only from disease but from like wounds and things like that. And that's what it all is. It's just injury off the gut, and it's very
yeah,
similar to something happening on the outside or, yeah, cracking ribs and stuff like that. So, you know, it's pretty amazing how fast the body can work. And you've experienced both ends of the scale. You've gone through a condition where it's, made you bedbound, and then you've come out of that and then gone through an event, that's put you down as well, but then nothing to do with your digestive health, which you recovered both from. So it's amazing. I guess I'd just like to dabble a bit more into your healing. So I guess what was probably the worst thing that happened during your healing and the best thing as well? So if you talk about both things, describe your symptoms as well. And like, I mean, people that are watching are going to want to know like what was happening when you were going through healing as well. And so, yeah, talk about the positives and the negatives in that
yeah.
situation.
Well, the negatives outweighed the positives a lot more. I was going to the toilet so much, and especially at night too. Like during the day, I could manage it, and I was able to do a little bit of school and all that. But at night, I was just up so much, and it just made me really tired. Also, like the pain when I used to, even when I started on this diet and I'd have like a smoothie or something, it just felt like I was eating hot glass
Mm.
and it would just travel through me and it would just pretty much it felt like it was just tearing me up from the inside out. So that was, it was super painful. And I feel like everyone gets the same, you know, same
Pain.
things.
Yeah.
You get the pain, you get the fatigue. The fatigue probably was the worst part
Mm.
because I'd get to bed at night, I'd lie down, I'd almost go to sleep, and then I'd have to go to the toilet.
Mm. And then
So
constantly,
that
right?
was
Constantly doing that.
oh,
Yeah.
up and down
Up
probably
and down.
about 10, 15 times in the night.
Yeah. So
The
it's not,
real
yeah, go for it,
the
go.
real challenge the real challenge while healing was getting out anywhere
Mm.
because I was psychologically so damaged from the last couple of years of having this disease that I just didn't want to go anywhere and I didn't want to see anyone. And that for me, and also with social media too, seeing my friends out and having fun, and I was in bed, almost crapping myself every day. That was really that was almost, no, I'd say that was traumatic, and that really hurt me as, as when I was healing more than it was way worse than the pain, the physical pain, or, just not being able to have any social interaction,
Mm.
just only with my family, and also knowing that it's going to take a long time and I'm going to be like this for a while.
Mm.
That was the hardest part. And I'm still struggling with it. Like, I still struggle with the psychological thing every day. It's like just in the back of my mind saying like I could get sick again and it could all happen again. And like the physical stuff all goes away. Like, that's fine. That'll go away if you eat the food. The psychological stuff, that's something you have to work on, and you might have to get someone else to help you work through it.
Absolutely.
Through all that trauma. I know every time I go to the toilet now, I get so anxious, even though I'm fine. I get so anxious that I'm going to get there and someone else is in the toilet. Because every time, almost every time that happened, I had no choice other than to crap my pants.
Yeah.
So the psychological part of healing is, for me, that was it, and it is still the hardest thing to overcome because I haven't been healed for long.
Exactly.
And I still every day think I'm going to get sick from the foods that sometimes if I go have a meal where it's like Thai food or like a burrito, I still think like, oh, I'm going to be on the toilet later.
And that's
And
the finishing aspect, right? I mean, we all got to work on that because the diet's the easy part, right? And we all got to work on how do we mentally secure that, or have that security that I'm going to be okay. And every time you do go to the bathroom and you have a beautiful stool, that's what will reinforce that mental strength that you need. And I think, every time that happens, just focus on that and go, no, I'm actually okay. And I'm so grateful for what is actually happening right now. And that gratefulness and gratitude actually takes away that anxiousness because you realize how, you're actually okay and everything is okay.
Yep.
It's just like we don't necessarily see that as much as we probably should, and therefore we feel a little bit more anxious. So yeah, just keep working on that, man. And it's not, we all go through struggles in life, and like what I talked to you about before, you've created a base, and that base is so strong that even if you have some kind of stress in your life, you're not going to actually go back to where you were, a couple of years ago. Your body has come really far. So you won't go through such a flare up or like any kind of issue as such as you probably did before. And it's not like you haven't been in a flare up before either. So you know what it's like, and you know how to fix it too. So, you know, instead of using medicine to deal with things like this, you use food. You go back to the clean foods and you eat healthy and mentally be stronger about your situation.
Yep.
And I think you've realized that, and you keep going because of that. That's where your fire is.
I've found the best way to get over the anxiety, and this will probably work for anyone, is just take control of the situation yourself and do what you think is necessary. Even if it is like that morning, making sure you've had the right things and you've done the right things, and you're out in public and there's not many toilets around, just knowing that morning that you've had 6 bananas and 3 dates and some mango in your smoothie is sometimes all I need to get through like the bad anxiety. Also, like checking where the toilets are and all that. Even if you're not sick, that really gets rid of my anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a daily thing. And I also feel like it's not talked about enough for ulcerative colitis, because everyone knows about going to the toilet and all that, but no one knows about what happens after you're well. Even people who are on the medications and they're doing all right, they still have the anxiety that they're going to get sick again.
Well, you would
And
have too on the medications as well. Yeah.
I remember in America when I just went, I had a pizza, and I remember being so scared that I was going to get sick again. I was pretty much almost fell in a heap, and I was fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
And
a
you got to
very
you got to back yourself too, because you know the hard
yeah.
work that you've done, and don't let your mind wander to the point where you're like, yeah, you're starting to get scared of food. That's something
Yeah.
that you want to be, not sort of putting
Mhm.
out there. Um, but that's probably still need to work on that, But
Yeah.
what you've done, okay, with your life is come off medications, okay, and you've literally got your life back because of what you've been able to do, and you can live your life normally now. You can do the things that you were doing before you had this condition, and that's because of the food that you're eating. And how
Mhm.
wonderful is it that you've been able to get back to even better than where you were before? I think
Oh,
that's the key.
it is just phenomenal, man. Like, and that's the thing. You always got to think about where you were. Like I remember this time last year. You remember me this
I
time last
remember.
year. I was down in the dumps, and I was just praying for something to change. And I was praying. I was actually praying to do one of these. I was just watching them every day, and now I'm here. So I've got to keep on reminding myself that I've done what I needed to do, and now I can actually go out and live.
Yes, yeah, very important
Yeah.
that you're not associating with your disease anymore. Like
Hmm.
it's gone. Like get rid of it
It's not a
mentally.
part of me anymore.
No,
It's
it's
done.
not. And I think that's a really key point that you say there that, when you do get rid of that aspect, maybe it's still there for you a little bit because of, being in year for years you were in that state. And when you get rid of that, I think you'll be free from your mind as well. Like you've freed
Hmm.
yourself physically because you have some sort of control over your bowels now. Like you don't have the urgency, you're going 2 or 3 times a day. But yes, mentally, you might still not be there yet, but you're getting there, and that's the most important thing. Like physically, you're doing well. Your body's come out of the worst, and you've come out of a massive healing process, and you've been able to really secure that within yourself. But it's also a work in progress in other forms and other aspects of your life. And that's why healing never stops, right? Healing never stops. It always is going to be there because you're going to be faced with challenges all the time, right? It's it's never ending in so many ways. Like you might have so many challenges in your life that you're just like, oh, whoa, like I didn't see that coming, but you can handle it. You can handle it because
Yep.
of what you've been through, and you are stronger because of what you've been through. That hospital visit or that flare up that you had has given you the strength to go, hey, like I can do this for myself and I can improve and I can do so many more things that I didn't know was possible.
Hmm. Well, like you said, when I started this whole program, you said that this will probably be the hardest thing I ever have to do,
Mhm.
and that gave me a lot of hope because I'm like, "Fuck, this is." Looking back now, it was actually pretty easy. All I had to do was just eat bananas and potatoes. So,
But yeah, in that
um,
sense, yeah, it is easy to do, but mentally not the
yeah,
easiest thing to do, right?
it's absolutely monumental challenge for a 16-year-old too. It was like having no adversity before that. Like I was pretty much just a normal kid, and just all of a sudden in 2 months was just out.
Yeah.
It was it was a monumental challenge, and I'm very glad I stuck to it,
Yeah.
and I'm very glad I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
That's also the other thing too about having the anxiety and all that is you have to be grateful for like what you're doing and what you've actually done to yourself. You transform yourself from the inside out,
Hmm.
right? It's not just eating the food. You put the food in your mouth. That's pretty much where it is, and the body just takes care of the rest. You gotta you gotta believe in yourself. You can't just be a victim.
Hmm.
And that was really hard to get over. I was very poor me, and this is all terrible.
Well, I
But
think in our calls, I think that lifted you. If every time you spoke to me, I always brought you back up, because of
yeah,
hope that was there. And I think that really helped you. Those weekly consults really helped you, hey?
Yeah, oh, mass. I don't think I could have done it without talking to you every week. And I don't think I could have done it without all the resources you have on your YouTube channel. I remember watching your story on repeat over and over again because it was just so inspiring for me. I remember also watching also who's that? I remember watching this one testimonial. It was a young girl almost the same age as me, and that filled me with so much hope.
Mm.
And I just kept on rewatching them, and I didn't imagine myself there, but I heard of what it can be like.
Yep.
I was like, if there's a chance I can be normal and I can go out and hang out with my friends, and that really just kept me going. There's a chance I could go motorbike riding with no issues, and that really kept me going. And every time you made it seem not as bad as it actually was. Like it was bad, but you see people like who are like me every day. So for you, it's you probably you fill me with a lot of hope, knowing that you've seen people do it before, and you made it seem that it wasn't that bad,
Mm.
even though I was in a lot of pain. But that really helped me because at the end of the day, you just you're going to the toilet a lot.
Yep.
That's really what you're trying. That's really what you're trying to get over. Obviously, all the other stuff comes with it, but that's what you're just trying to stop, and then everything else sorts itself out again.
Yep. Yep.
So having those weekly calls, or even twice a week, even
That's right. We did do that at one point because you were
yeah,
going through it quite a bit.
it it really helped my mental state
Mm.
massively. Even just if it because I was really sad
Mm.
during that period, and it didn't stop for a long time. But having those calls every week really just kept me going,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful because I would have given up if it wasn't for you, Shamiz. Like I wouldn't be here if you didn't, if we didn't call every week or twice a week. I'd still be sitting on the toilet and cursing my bowel, So I just want to say thank you because that was probably what kept me going.
Yeah, man. And you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And it's just I can't I can't put into words like when I was talking to you and your acknowledgement and you taking in what I was saying and then applying it slowly. And that was the key because you can just listen to me, but then it's also about taking action, and
Hmm.
going, okay, well, whatever this guy's saying, I need to actually do it because if I don't do it, then I'm not going to see the changes that he's telling me that I'm going to get, and I
Yep.
think you trusted in that process, right? Because again, you saw some minor improvements. You're like, hey, well, this isn't happening, or the blood's less. So therefore, it gave you that little bit of momentum or confidence, right? And then every time we talked, I reassured you about that confidence that you had in yourself because your body is a self-healing mechanism, and that
Yep.
you just took, and you snowballed it. And I think that was the key point there is that like even though it was hard, you had full focus. You knew what you needed to do. And that like when people are like that, when people don't doubt or fear, they don't have any fears around what's going on. And when they respect their bodies for doing what it's trying to do, can't go wrong. You can't go wrong
Yeah.
because you're not fighting your body. You're actually
Hmm.
accepting your body and you're celebrating your body's ways,
Hmm.
you know?
I remember you telling me that it was normal what I was going through, and
Mm.
that really resonated with me because I'm like, I was always like, no, this isn't right. I'm I'm pulling out blood. This isn't good. You told me like, oh, this is your body's way of healing. Your body's getting all the stuff out. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That was the first thought I've had, And then I was like, oh, actually, everything's getting just a little bit better every week, just a tiny bit. I'm like, he might actually be right. He might be onto something here. So yeah, it's ulcerative colitis in a way is normal. It's your body's response to you not looking after yourself.
Exactly.
Like, there's other causes for it too, but it's normal, right? Your body will get upset if you don't treat it properly.
It's a sign, right? It's a message from your body to say, hey, like things aren't working very well. You need to change something.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess
And
people don't realize that.
it's like every disease, like cancer especially. That's lot of the time it is self-inflicted.
Hmm.
Like it is unfortunate, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Kids get it, and it's really sad. But if you get lung cancer, that's your body telling you that you probably need to stop smoking cigarettes or stop doing something.
Yep.
Or if you're feeling, if you're smoking, if I'll just use the example for smoking. If you're smoking cigarettes and you feel tired all the day, all the time, you're coughing up heaps of stuff, that's your body telling you to stop, right? And it's the same with ulcerative colitis. You eat your big steak, you poo out blood. That's your body telling you to not eat steak,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And that was a really hard concept for me to understand, because I always just thought, oh, diseases just come from out of the blue. Like it's just lucky dip. This is me. I'm just a victim of this terrible disease, when in reality I did the damage myself. And accepting that was a hard thing really hard thing to accept, because I didn't want to be at fault for my own. Like this is my fault. What I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really hard. Accepting it though really freed me, because all right, well, I'm the only one who can fix it now. This is my responsibility. It's not Shamiz's responsibility or mum and dad's responsibility. This is me. I have to do this.
You took ownership. You took ownership of
Yep.
it. And that's why you're here today speaking about it. And that's
Mm.
so important because people need to hear that. People need to hear what you
Yep.
just said there. It's not anyone else's responsibility about your choices that you make in your life because they're your choices, you know.
Yep.
Can't blame anyone else for your choices. A lot of
Yep.
people love to do that though. And I guess
And
yeah.
there's no right or wrong either. Like you can keep eating that stuff if you want. Great, go for it. If you want to be healthy, this is what you have to do.
That's it. That's it.
Simple as that. So, like, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease and pancolitis is all terrible diseases, but it's up to you to do what's necessary to to heal yourself and to get better. And that's a really hard thing to accept for anyone, to accept that you have to do it, and this is not your fault. You were doing what you thought was fine, but it's up to you to fix yourself.
Well, when an opportunity arises and you have the choice to go, okay, if I do this, then I'm going to get better, without being in the, medicine world or like, again, that's another little situation. That's another topic to discuss as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like you didn't want to take medicine for the rest of your life either, and because of the side effects and things like that. And what I guess let's just touch on that now and go, okay, well, why did you not want to be on medications for the rest of your life?
Oh, the acne
Hmm.
and the joint pain and the back pain I was experiencing from the steroids was so bad. And if you read the side effects of the medications they give you for Crohn's for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, one of them is actually death. And I remember reading that. And also, if you read the apart from prednisolone, where it was actually a bit of a miracle drug, I'd take it and I'd feel completely fine.
Hmm.
It weakens your bones so much, but it's the only one that really works. If you look at the biologics, most of them have like a 30 to 50% success rate.
Hmm.
That's not a lot at all. Whereas fruit and vegetables have a 100% success rate if you stick to it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I remember, and also like it's no disrespect to any of the doctors that were trying to help me. Like I said before, they were just taking a lucky dip. Like one medication wouldn't work. All right, on to the next medication, see if that works.
Yeah.
And none of them did. And I was just like, all right. Also, going in when you're young and having an infusion every week, and you're sitting there with cancer patients, pretty much. That's a really traumatic thing because you're grouped in with the really sick people
Mm.
when you're not really as that sick. You are sick, and it's pretty bad, but you're not going to die.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll be fine. You'll
Yeah.
live. You'll live. Yeah, the medications. My face got really puffy,
Mm.
steroids, and I got heaps of acne, which really lowered my self esteem. And also the fatigue I'd feel after. I remember one time we came back from an infusion and I was sitting in the car with mum. I remember almost blacking out because I was just it just wasn't agreeing with me.
Mm.
And I remember not being able to go to school for the next couple of days and stuff like that. And it really affected me badly.
Yes, you didn't have any other choice but to change your diet and lifestyle at that point because like if the doctors if the medicine didn't work, what was the next step? Surgery, right? Like that's
About you get your bowel taken out.
yeah.
That's it. That was my like. And then even after that, they said if you get your bowel taken out, you can still have ulcerative colitis with your pouch. And I'm just like far out. It's just not looking good for me at all. So yeah,
There's yeah that,
it's a pretty helpless situation to be in, and it's actually terrifying because you think that you think you're never going to be the same again.
mm.
You think that this is one set path. That's it. You
And that's
know.
why it kind of motivates you to be like, okay, well, if there is a way out, I'm gonna try, right? Like
Yeah,
I've got
absolutely.
nothing to lose if I'm gonna be eating bananas, potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, making soups all the time. Well, if that gives me a chance to
Hmm.
get out of this position, then I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do whatever it
Hmm.
takes to do that. And that was your mentality when you started, and I think that's remarkable because as a young boy, like to have that from the get-go, uh, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I found it hard at 23. Like, and I gave up many times. I had, I mean, I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of things, but at one point, I had to realize that, like, what do you want in this world? Do you want your life back? Do you want to go traveling? Do you want to go play sport? You want to go mountain biking? Because, I can't wait to mountain bike with you, man, when you come up.
Yeah,
But like
absolutely.
that is what we live for. We don't live for, you shouldn't be living for food. You should be living to live your life, and
Hmm.
be capable of doing so many different things, and I can't like stress that enough that the food is not the major here. It's actually just going to the toilet
It,
properly.
it's just fuel, is the way I think of it. You eat it, it's fuel. It keeps you going. That's it. It's not. It's not a food. Some foods taste great. Eat the right ones most of the time. You'll be able to live your life and you'll feel great. It's just fuel.
And they still taste great too, like those
Yep.
foods are still delicious, and yeah, obviously you can't compare like I don't know, like a croissant or like a pastry to like a banana. But the
Yeah.
consequences of the pastry, you
Not
to
worth it. Not
compared to
worth
the
it.
banana, like yeah, exactly. And people
Yeah.
don't, I guess people don't realize this when they get older. They then start to find out. And this is why you're doing this, right? You're doing this for when you get to your parents' age, for example, you know, you don't want to have any disease. You don't want to have these problems, that so many other people get, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, you know,
Hair loss.
you want to prevent that from happening, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to look like I'm 20 when I'm like 35.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
want to, because I know I will be different, you
Yeah,
know, and that it sounds really selfish and like, really up yourself and all that. But if you eat the right foods, you actually look better for longer.
because it doesn't
So
age
like,
you. It doesn't age you. It doesn't damage the
how
cells.
old are you, Shamiz?
Yeah, 36. Yeah,
I full on thought you were like 25, like the past year.
yeah.
So I want to be, because most, actually majority of the world eats pretty terribly. Like if you look at America, 3/4 of the population is obese.
Yeah, that's it.
If if you start if you have ulcerative colitis or anything and you start eating properly now, you're actually going to be better off than most of the world.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's a huge, like, it's terrible that people don't eat like this, because you get problems.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that's why we get these conditions, because we're not
Yeah,
eating healthy.
yeah.
And yeah, the aim of the game is to live as long as possible without getting sick or without being or struggle in life, and that's the goal. And I think you've got a plan.
I, I I just want to live without any pain and worry about my body. I don't care if I live long. If I live to about 60, 70, that's cool for me.
Quality.
If I live those 50 years with no ulcerative colitis and I don't have to worry about going to the toilet, that would
You'll
be
take it.
awesome.
Yeah, you'll take it
Yep,
because of
I will
what you've gone through. Yeah, for sure. And
take.
that the sky's the limit, dude. Like, I mean, like, there are no limits here. I'm looking forward to when I'm that age and running marathons and stuff because that's what I'm doing right now. 12 years, is a long time, and it's just gonna keep coming. The health and the fitness is just gonna keep coming, and I can't wait for you because being at such a young age, you've got a really good base, and like you put in the effort, man, and mate, you'll be a gunner. You'll just you'll be strong and you'll be fit and healthy and I guess people don't realize what true health really is until you get to this point, right? Like
Hmm.
because when I was telling you that this is how it's going to be for you later on, hang in there. You didn't know what it was like at the time because you just can't know. How can you know? You
I
can't.
didn't believe you. I
No.
didn't believe you at all. At all.
And now?
I was like, and now I'm living the dream.
Yeah.
So, always just stick to it.
Yep. Yep.
Always,
It's crazy
never
how
give up.
never give up. Yeah, that's it. And it's crazy
Yeah.
how like I told you so. Like, this is exactly what I told you was going to happen. And here you are seeing it because I did it myself. So if I've done it myself, then of course you can do it. Why
Yep.
can't you do
Yep.
it?
We're all just ordinary people too. Like it's not like it's not like we came from being super fit and super healthy. We
No,
all started off the same. We were all the same,
that's it.
right? But it's not like, you know, you have someone who's really fit and all that, and they come crashing down with ulcerative colitis, right? Everyone from what I've watched has a very similar story,
Yeah, that's it.
and that and filled me with a lot of hope, knowing that people were like me, because I thought I was just in my own boat because I didn't know anyone like me.
Exactly.
So if I always thought, if they can do it,
Mm.
I can 100% do it.
Yeah. That's the attitude you got to
That
have, man.
Yeah, I didn't have that attitude all the time, but
It
I'm
came to
glad
you.
you were here.
It came to you,
Yeah,
dude. It came to you.
yeah. It's something I had to learn, and it was a really hard. This whole thing was a massive learning experience. I learned so much about myself and about nutrition and all that, it really just has like transformed me and transformed my life. I no longer want to, like, it's given me like a new lease on
Hmm.
everything. Like I want to go live, I didn't, when I was before ulcerative colitis, I was, a bit rat race. Yeah, I wanted to make lots of money and all that. Now, after being sick for a long time, I kind of just want to live.
You value your
I
life,
want to get
dude.
out.
You value your
I
life.
can't. I just want to go out and go motorbike riding and see stuff. That's all I want to do, and I want to be happy because I wasn't happy for a long time,
Yeah. I
and
think your
that
appreciation of life is
oh,
so much more
it's
because when you don't have
it's
it,
it's a gift.
mm,
100%, it's a gift. I remember on New Year's in 2022, I was feeling so terrible. I was sitting on the couch with my family, and I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was in so much pain. I was just in and out of sleep. I remember sitting there and going like, when is this going to end? Like, I just want to be well. And now that I'm here and knowing what I was like and knowing that what I was thinking, I have to remind myself about where I was. And it's a huge gift. I remember looking at photos of myself and I was unrecognizable now. And it's a gift. I'm, I'm I can't describe how grateful I am for my life.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I just you can't explain it to someone who hasn't done it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to. Hopefully, people don't have to go through what I went through.
Mm, mm,
But if you did, it's the most rewarding feeling I could ever.
mm.
Like I'm obviously pretty young. I haven't experienced most of my life yet, but I cannot describe the feeling I get every day where I can wake up and not have to run to the toilet. And
Exactly.
I can wake up and go for a bike ride, or even just go down and see my family and talk to them, not about how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Mm.
And I can't, I just can't describe it to anyone. It's incredible.
Such a blessing, hey? Such a blessing that this condition has given you such a new lease of life and what a grateful thing to change and make it into something that were always longing for. And
Hmm.
you have an opportunity here. You've taken that opportunity to do this for yourself. And I can't put into words about how proud I am of you, dude. And I like you're a brother to me now, man. Like we've been through a lot together, and
Yeah.
you know that it's so inspiring for me to see a young boy, take initiative, take control of his health, and do things that other young boys would never be able to do. And that's going places, and I see a bright future for you. And this this way of thinking has given you the ability to really rethink what you do in your life and what your priorities are, and to be there alongside you to see you grow. Yeah, there's nothing better than that, and that's why I love what I do, because I see people like yourself go through these amazing life-changing experiences, and you're on the other side now, and it's I think you couldn't be happier. So I guess, well done, and I couldn't be more happy for how things have panned out for yourself. And you worked hard. You worked really hard, and it's paid off. And I guess, are there any last words that you want to, say to the audience, to people out there that are watching?
Um, I would like to say that if anyone in your life is sick or if you're sick, even if you're not doing the high carb health program or if you're trying to get yourself better through other means, absolutely do not stop and just keep going with whatever you're doing. Try different things, try things that you think that might not work. That's what I did. Look, it turned out great. And to the families and the people around them, just support them and support whatever they're doing. And if you feel like you're sick, if you feel like you're sick and you are pooing out blood, for God's sake, just go tell someone, please. Just get onto it early. Yeah, but never stop trying.
Wise words, man. Wise words and inspiring words, and hopefully people take something from this and really, you've definitely taken this to the next level with yourself, and super proud, man. Super proud, and yeah, I wish you all the best with all your future endeavors, and I can't wait to jam some mountain biking with you when you come up to Cairns and like ride those trails like it's nothing else, and
Yeah,
um,
man.
yeah, it's going to be fun. And here's to a new life after colitis to you. Well, you
Yep.
now have a life after colitis, which is
Yep.
exactly what you wanted. And I'm so glad
Mm-hmm.
that you've been able to take it and apply the principles that we teach and continue to
Yep.
apply those principles too. And, I can't wait to hang out with you and yeah, get to know you in person. I haven't seen you yet, but I'm sure it's going to
Yeah,
happen one day. And
absolutely.
I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for you and your family and all the awesome things that you guys have planned. So yeah, all the best, and take care of yourself and keep eating that fruit.
Yep. Thanks, man. Thanks so much and you and Shakul as well. Like, I know I speak for a lot of people when I say that I couldn't have done it without you guys at all. So thank you so much, dude. I honestly, I've never been so grateful for anything in my life. Like, it's just, I can't. I'm honestly in disbelief some days. I can't. I can't express how grateful I am for what you've helped me out with. It's just amazing, man. Thank you so much.
Uh, you're welcome, man. Thank God for this, and like
Yeah.
there's so much out there that we don't necessarily know, and so many angels out there looking out for us, and
Mm-hmm.
they're winning our battles for us, and we just
Yeah.
gotta always remember that we're always put in the right directions, and God's always helping us. God's always there for us, and we always need to just respect that and remember, that we're always taken care of. We're always given the right path. So
Yeah. Everything is happening for a reason. You're in that situation because you need to be in that situation.
yes, yes, absolutely. And you have a choice to get out of that situation. God gives us that choice to go, hey, I can do this and I can get out of this if I want. It's just knowing
Yep.
that He is there for you and this the strength that He gives us. Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough, Shamiz.
Mm.
Like, I don't know where I'd be without this program or you. Like, it's just, I cannot thank you enough.